Selected readings from Emannuel Swedenborg's classic Heaven and Hell. Following is in the public domain. Selected readings. The divine that goes forth from the Lord is called, in heaven, divine truth, for a reason that will presently appear. The divine truth flows into heaven from the Lord, from his divine love. The divine love and the divine truth therefrom are related to each other as the fire of the sun and the light therefrom in the world, hence the term light of the world. Love resembling the fire of the sun, and the truth therefrom, light from the sun. Fire is symbolic. Moreover, by correspondence, fire signifies love and light, truth going forth from love. This is clear what the divine truth that goes forth from the Lord's divine love is, that in its essence is divine good joined to divine truth. Being so conjoined, it vivifies all things of heaven, just as in the world, when the sun's heat is joined to light, it makes all things of the earth fruitful. They mirror one another, which takes place in spring and summer. It is otherwise when the heat is not joined with the light, that is, when the light is cold. Then all things become torpid and lie dead. With the angels, this divine good, which is compared to heat, is the good of love, the divine truth, which is compared to light, and that through which and out of which good of love comes. Without the divine, love is not love, added for emphasis. The divine in heaven, which makes heaven, is love, because love is spiritual conjunction. It conjoins angels to the Lord and conjoins them to one another, so conjoining them, that in the Lord's sight they are all is one. Moreover, love is the very essay of everyone's life. Consequently, from love, both angels and men have life. Everyone who reflects can know that the inmost vitality of man is from love. Since he grows warm from the presence of love and cold from its absence, hence the term cold-hearted, and when deprived of it, he dies. It is to be remembered that the quality of his love is what determines the quality of each one's life. In heaven, there are two distinct loves, love to the Lord and love towards the neighbor. In the inmost third heaven, love to the Lord. In the second or middle heaven, love towards neighbor. They both go forth from the Lord, and they both make heaven. How these two loves are distinct and how they are conjoined is seen in heaven in clear light, but in the world only obscurely, through a veil. In heaven, loving the Lord does not mean loving him in respect to his person per se, but it means loving the good that is from him. And to love good is to will and do good from love, and to love the neighbor does not mean loving a companion in respect to his person, but loving the truth that is from the Word. And to love truth is to will and to do it. This makes clear that these two loves are distinct as good and truth are distinct. Anything less that is called love is not really love. And that they are conjoined as good is conjoined with truth. But this can scarcely be comprehended by men unless it is known what love is, what good is, and what the neighbor is. I have repeatedly talked with angels about this matter. They were astonished. They said that men of the church do not know that to love the Lord and to love the neighbor is to love what is good and true, and to do this from the will, when they ought to know that one evinces love by willing and doing what another wishes, and it is this that brings reciprocal love and conjunction, and not loving another without doing what he wishes, which in itself is not loving. Also, that men should know that the good that goes forth from the Lord is a likeness of him, since he is in it, and that those who make good and truth to belong to their life by willing them and doing them because become likeness of the Lord and are conjoined to him. And I would add that because God is love and heaven's laws are based upon love, anything less than this are not conjoined to the Lord. They fall away. Willing is loving to do. That this is so the Lord teaches in the Word, saying, He that hath my commandments and doeth them, he it is that loveth me, and I will love him, and will make my abode with him. John 14:21 and 23. And again, if ye do my commandments, ye shall abide in my love. John 15:10. All experience in heaven attests that the divine that goes forth from the Lord and that affects angels and makes heaven is love. For all who are in heaven and are forms of love and charity and appear in ineffable beauty with love shining forth from their faces and from their speech and from every particular of their lives. Moreover, there are spiritual spheres of life emanating from and surrounding every angel and every spirit, by which their quality in respect to the affections of their love is known, sometimes at a great distance. For with everyone these spheres flow forth from the life of his affection and consequent thought, or form the life of his love and consequent faith. The spheres that go forth from angels are so full of love as to affect the inmosts of life of those who are with them. They have repeatedly been perceived by me and have thus affected me. That it is love from which angels have their life is further evident from the fact that in the other life everyone turns himself in accordance with his love, those who are in love to the Lord and in love towards the neighbor, turning themselves always to the Lord, while those who are in love of self or ego turn themselves away from the Lord, which is actually opposite love. Sure, they may call their antithetical affections love, but this is not love in any sense of divine love. An example perhaps would be Satan loves his own. Continuing, this is so, however, their bodies may turn, since with those in the other life spaces conform to the states of their interiors, likewise quarters, which are not constant as they are in this world, but are determined in accordance with the direction of their faces. And yet, it is not the angels that turn themselves to the Lord, but the Lord turns to himself those that love to do the things that are from him, or proceed forth from the divine throne at the right hand of God. But more on this subject hereafter, where the quarters in the other life are treated of. The divine of the Lord is heaven. In heaven is love. For the reason that love is receptive of all things of heaven, such as peace, intelligence, wisdom, and happiness. For love is receptive of each and all things that are in harmony with it. It longs for them, seeks them, and drinks them in, as it were, spontaneously, for it desires unceasingly to be enriched and perfected by them. This too man well knows, for with him love searches, as it were, the stores of his memory, and draws forth all things that are in accord with itself, collecting and arranging them in and under itself, in itself, that they may be its own, and under itself, that they may be its servants. But other things not in accord with this, with it discards and expels. One example would be the parable of the vine and the branches. The branches which do not abide in the vine are discarded and expelled and burned. Continuing, that there is present in love every capacity for receiving truths in harmony with itself, and a longing to conjoin them to itself, has been made clear also by the fact that some who were simple-minded in the world were taken up into heaven, and yet when they were with the angels they came into angelic wisdom and heavenly blessedness, and for the reason that they had loved what is good and true, not falsity, deception, and selfish ambition and lies. They loved what was good and true for its own sake, and had implanted in it their life, and had thereby become capacities for receiving heaven with all that is ineffable there. Ineffable meaning undescribably wonderful, incomprehensible to the natural mind. But those who are in love of self, it is a form of narcissism and egocentrism, and of world, have no capacity for receiving what is good and true. They loathe and reject it. And at its first touch, and entrance, they flee and associate themselves with those who are uh, in hell, who are in loves like their own. There were spirits who had doubts about there being such capacities in heavenly love and who wished to know whether it were true, whereupon they were let into a state of heavenly love, whatever opposed being for the time removed, and were brought forward some distance where there was an angelic heaven or a conscious union with God. And from it they talked with me, saying that they perceived a more interior happiness than they could possibly express in words, and they lamented greatly that they must return into their former state. Others also were taken up into heaven, and the higher or more interior they were exalted, the more of intelligence and wisdom were they admitted into, such as enabled them to perceive what had been before incomprehensible to them. From this it is clear that love that goes forth from the Lord is receptive of heaven and all things therein. To love the Lord and love towards the neighbor include in themselves all divine truths, plural, is made evident by what the Lord himself said of these two loves. Thou shalt love thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second like unto it is, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang the law, the entire law, and the prophets. Matthew 22:37 through 40. Words spoken by Christ himself. The law and the prophets are the whole word, thus all divine truth. To be continued. Thank you for listening.